I did an opening video for you yesterday, but I went to look at it, and the sound was all screwed up and everything. Whatever. My phone is acting up. It keeps saying there's water in the charging port, which it hasn't got wet. Been about 5 times now. I had to dry it and let it sit. I think it's not long for this world. So a little frustrated with the phone, but nevertheless, we'll push through. We'll push through. I was concerned. I Googled when I get up symptoms of the coronavirus. Last night, I thought I heard the baby crying in the middle of the night. Amy always hears the baby, and we have a monitor, but I was certain in my head I heard the baby crying. I jump up out of bed. I trip on absolutely nothing and slam right into the door. Right into the old door, right there. Smash. Door's been there since they built the house. Nothing I tripped over. Just did a header into the door. Anyway, good news, the baby wasn't up. Bad news, I woke Amy up and near split my head open. So that's good. All jokes aside, though, it is a scary time with the coronavirus, right? I went last night and like 3 people looked at me. What do you know, I'm Googling it too, right? The coronavirus, do you die when you get it? I mean, obviously, I was listening to reports, and they said 15, like Italy, they closed the entire country of Italy. No one in, no one out. 60 million people. They said 15,000 people had the virus, 300 and some, maybe 400 people have died now. And they said the reason that so many people have it is because 25% of the population's over 60. And I guess most of you already know this. I didn't. The people that are most at risk are people with respiratory issues. I've had pneumonia in the past, maybe smoke, a whole myriad of respiratory issues. Now, the one comforting thing I didn't know is that you could get the coronavirus, not know it, and get over it. You know, a healthy person, it may present as the flu, as a sickness. I had a little bit of a tickle in my throat last night. I'm Googling all this. And, you know, I've never smoked, don't drink very much. I doubt that plays a role anyway, but never had any issues. So my Adeline was sick, but the one thing they said was the coronavirus is more of a dry, deep cough. And if you have mucus, it's more mucus coming out of you. It's more, anyway, what the hell am I talking about? It's more of a flu, cold. So she's had just shit pouring out of her. So I guess that's a good thing. Nobody else is sick, and nobody's been sick at the barn. One day, look, one day a girl was sick, and you know, I told her, "Are you okay?" And she goes, "No, I called my doctor before I came in." And so that's good. All the precautions, and with all the stadiums being empty, no sports, no nothing. I watched the UFC last night. No fans in the arena, and they were getting a lot of backlash from even putting the event on. I'm sure they have multiple professionals there. It's scary, obviously. Just to keep going with that for a second, somebody had said to me, you know, why don't they just shut everything down for 2 weeks, 3 weeks? It would probably work, wouldn't it? I think that's kind of what we're trying to do. But look at the economy. All the people that worked at those stadiums. I know in our industry, in horse racing, a lot of our people live check to check. I did for a long time. Maybe I still do, I don't know. But I did for a long time when I was driving, right? You wait for, you know, the checks come on Friday. Thursday, you might not have a lot of money. And if you don't have any checks for 2, 3, 4 Fridays, that's a real problem. And I think that's as big a scare as the coronavirus, is that people won't have money, right? And because, and you know, the vicious circle of it all is that if you don't have money, you can't spend money. If you don't spend money, those stores are going to start laying people off. It's a scary time for a number of reasons. You know, thankfully, you know, hopefully all of you watching this are healthy and feeling good. And that's the main thing, is that you have your health, right? I think 10 years down the road, looking back, I remember I was in the ice storm in Montreal. I lived in Montreal when they had the ice storm. We didn't realize at the time how serious it was. Those big metal hydro poles and giant metal hydro things that you see all the time just buckled under the weight of the ice. All the trees were down in the city. I remember our apartment building, there was washing machines in the basement, as they generally do, and the fuse boxes were down there. And the whole thing filled up with water. Fire department came, kicked everybody out. I had to go stay at somebody's house for a couple of days. The racetrack in Montreal was closed. People were living in the racetrack, the grandstand. And looking back on that, that was a time where you remember where you were when something like that happened. And I know I'm only 42 years old. Am I 43 now? Might be 43 now. Looking back, I've never seen anything like this, right? Where something in a little town in China, you know, that dirty little market that they had in China, reached everywhere in the world. It just goes to show how this is a big world, but it's not that big after all. 4 weeks ago, was the first reported case of the coronavirus, you know, COVID-19 or whatever it's called. And 4 weeks later, how many deaths, how many reported cases, and it's reached all the way to Guelph. You know, I think there's a case in Prince Edward Island. It just, again, it's scary. So enough with the doom and gloom. Well, maybe not enough. We have to talk about, obviously, I talked about it the other day. There's a lot of people asking me about the scandals coming out of New York, right? And I think you can look at the transcripts, you can look at the people implicated, indicted, arrested, and you know it's not going to stop there. There was a paragraph in the René Allard's arrest where they were talking about sending some stuff to Canada, so that I would say there's a better chance than not that this investigation, these arrests will reach Canadian soil. And you know, part of me says, you know, this is going to be tough to recover from as an industry. But when you look at it, from the outside in, there's been scandals in every sport, and I'd said this quite blatantly and frankly to everybody the other day, and gentleman, Jason was beside me. I said, listen, any sport that takes on wagering money, or you get paid to beat the guy beside you or the lady beside you, there's going to be cheating. And I think it's just gone on for so long in this industry. And Louis-Philippe Waugh, I know you guys don't, maybe not follow him. I don't think he gets the recognition he deserves for being as smart as he is. I read a post that he had made on somebody else's website, somebody else's Facebook page yesterday that was extremely smart. And he was talking about the culture of horse racing and how the culture of horse racing allows this to happen. And he's right. He's 100% right. You know, growing up as a kid, you can't wait to get into horse racing and learn to work with horses. But it's not long after that you learn what medications you can use and what you can't, when you can use them and when you can't. And I know. I mean, obviously, the stuff they're talking about, this is well outside most people's depth, certainly mine. But that's the culture, right? And I think it's just a part, and he's 100% right. It's a part of changing the culture of horse racing. And I think this needs to happen. I think we have to work closely with the federal investigation, and with investigations if they come to Canada, and work with our governments to make sure that this game is the safest, first off, for the horses, and secondly, that it is as clean as we can make it. To think that you're going to clean it up completely, even if you bring in the horse racing, enact the horse racing at the what's it called, the hay and oats, whatever it is they're trying to pass. It's a wonderful theory. I think most people will be happy with it. I think most people, like myself, tell me the rules, we'll play within the rules, and that is the way it is. If you break the rules, you're going to get in trouble. If I drive 110 and an 80, I know there's a good chance I'll get pulled over. I can't piss and moan if I get pulled over speeding, right? And that's the way it is. There's rules and there's laws, and you're supposed to play by them. And if you don't, you have to face the consequences for that. And a lot of people out there are looking at me and saying, well, you're good friends with René Allard. I've known René Allard for 20 years. René Allard and I were friends. You know, I raced horses for René Allard. He sent horses to us. So I guess I'm as complicit as anybody. I know Clay Horner was saying the other day, you know, people enabled these people. He's right. And I was one of them. So, it was easy. It was easy for me back then. I'm trying to build the stable, or I'm trying to have a barn of horses, and I have horses for a lot of people, and any one of them could be arrested and I would not know it. I think there's quite a stark difference between Rene Allard and me, but at the same time, it's the nature of the beast, right? I was friends with him. I spent a lot of time talking to Rene and Simon. Simon lived in my house for a little bit when Curtis first moved up here. We all ran in the same circles, right? But at the same time, that doesn't mean I condone that I'm going to sit here and stick up for what took place. I read the same things you guys did, and there's some startling, scary stuff that are on those wiretaps, and I certainly don't condone that. And you know what? As I'd said before, my grandfather said it. My father always said it to me: "You lay in the bed you made." And that's the way it is. So that's it. I'm not going to go on social media and tear people apart. I disagree with the people that think, where's all the owners talking about what went on, and where's all the trainers and drivers? I drove for Rene Allard. Louis-Philippe Waugh drove for Rene Allard. There isn't a driver in this universe that hasn't happily driven for Rene Allard, and we're complicit also, 100%. But there are people that own horses with other trainers that I can assure you right now may be sleeping with diapers on, because they have concerns also. And these are people that are not what you would call the underbelly of horse racing. So at some point, if an industry allows these people to control the industry and win so many races, you are going to implore the old adage, can't beat them, join them. And a lot of people have joined a lot of people that are working with what I would say are outside the constructs of the industry and the rules and laws in place. I don't have proof, don't lie, but at the same time, we all know what's going on in this industry, and 29 people indicted and arrested, that's not the end of it, nor should it be the end of it. So I suspect you're going to see this investigation, as I said yesterday, that's a thread that they've started to pull on, and that is a very large rug that they are about to potentially unravel. So as a participant that constantly gets attacked on social media for not doing well enough, our trainers aren't smart enough, they're not good enough trainers, they can't compete with these guys. I hope they do continue to pull on that rug, because I know that there's a lot of people that have been chased out of this game because they can't compete. Some of them are going to blame what went on, and some of them maybe just aren't good enough horsemen, but I would suspect there's a large portion of those people that left the game, chased out of the game, that left with a sour taste in their mouth, thinking that they lost not because they didn't win, but because they couldn't win. And obviously our industry owes them an apology, but there's not much you can do. The other side of that is simple. Life's tough, and this isn't the first sport that has faced controversy, whether it be the cheating with the Astros, or Jose Canseco when I was growing up, or Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Pete Rose from way back before, when I was really, really small. And that's just baseball, right? We could talk about this all day. How many Olympic teams, countries, an entire country of Russia was suspended. Anytime winning and losing means getting a pat in the back or a kick in the arse, whether that's financially or not, you're going to have cheating. So good for the FBI for stepping in, because obviously our commissions could not do the job they needed to do, and that's not an attack on any of the commissions. If I know the commissions had went to court a number of times against some of these people and lost. So good for the FBI for building the case, I suppose, and hopefully the game will come out looking, smelling a lot cleaner and looking a lot more enticing to a lot of the general public. That's my hope. So now the doom and gloom is over. We're going to talk about what took place yesterday at thestable.ca. So just a great day of training. I was going to go and tell you about the sets, but I think I'm going to have a video today just to talk about each set, what I saw, because I got to see the videos too now. I've seen them all. So I'm going to talk about every horse and every set. Then we're going to talk about the 2-year-olds really, really quick. Some 2-year-olds were scratched yesterday. You might be wondering why. And some 2-year-olds are not doing good right now. In a shocker, we have 63 or 64 babies training, And there are a couple that are struggling. But we know what they're struggling with. We know how they're struggling, and we are working on them. Perfect example is a horse like GW Chrome, struggled for a month or more. Looked great yesterday. So I'm going to give you a couple little highlights. What I thought was the standout performances yesterday. Obviously, Eternity Road came roaring back after one or two breaks he had made in a row. James, he looked fantastic for James. Obviously, this is a horse that we're trying to keep contained, but at the same time teach him. James is doing a great job with him. And Eternity Road was absolutely tremendous yesterday. Frilly Fringes should have raised some eyebrows yesterday. She's been on the fringe herself. Is she good? Is she not? Is she just a big, strong filly? She's a very talented filly, and I'm very, very happy with what I saw from her. One My Heart Hanover just continues to polish up as a horse. She is... I obviously I'm biased. I always talk about this filly for whatever reason. She caught my eye at the sale. She found her way into my heart right away, and I constantly am trying to make her better. And every time I try to teach her something, she just absorbs it like a sponge. And yesterday, now this is a filly that wears a very low head, which is rare. She wears an open bridle to jog and train. Again, rare but not uncommon. But rare. So yes, uncommon and rare. Just wears a little vet wrap on her hind leg. She touches one ankle, so we put a little piece of rubber. It's just a cut up scalper is what it is. Over the place she hits. All she wears is vet wrap on her hind legs, no other boots, and a set of trotting hobbles. And yesterday she follows. As soon as you move her to the outside, she sprints if you need her to sprint. She'll come slow if you want her to come slow. Yesterday I asked her to sprint. She crossed over the lead, controlled the race. Around the last turn with that open bridle on, she saw somebody coming. She dug back into her head check and was gone. Halfway down the lane, she's got them by 3 lengths. I just start to whoa her up. Horse is coming again on the outside now. It's still 2.5 lengths away, 2 lengths away. I just showed her the whip, tapped her on the tail once, just brushed it over her rump, gone again. This filly is impressive to me. Is she faster than Eternity Road? Is she faster than Frilly Fringes? I don't know. But I know she's smarter than any other horse we have in the barn. Her, and I always talk about the intelligence of Blue Monk. 2 horses that stand out in my mind as just intelligent animals. So Frilly Fringes was tremendous yesterday. Eternity Road was tremendous. One My Heart Hanover was very good. I'm going to give you 5 that were outstanding. Stacy Hanover, what about Well and Down? Everybody asks about, you know, there's a stigma for some reason that goes with the well-said horses. They're sour, they're crazy, they're this, they're that. We have 2 that I hold in extremely high regard. And Well and Down beat some of our best horses. It's frustrating to me, you know, I'll be honest. I do sneak onto social media once in a while, not Facebook or Twitter, but those other ridiculous sites. And, you know, once in a while, one of our clients will send me a screenshot of one of these sites. And you'll go on, and it's pretty disparaging. It's pretty frustrating and upsetting for me to read the stuff being written about us. But that's the nature of the beast, right? You're going to have the same people that rip apart sports athletes or companies or horses or drivers or trainers or anybody else, and just mean people. And then when you allow them to post under the alias of something else, they just compounds their ignorance. And the stuff that's written is it's pretty hurtful, really. I get thick skin, but I tell you what, it drills through sometimes. You know, their horses are cheap, their horses are bad, he's an idiot, those trainers suck. It just goes on and on. You'll never win. The same people will never say anything nice about you. So, you know, I think we have some good horses here. I think we underpaid for a lot of them, and I think we're doing pretty good. I think we've done pretty good. And for the people out there that want to rip us apart, just continue to do so. I don't care. You do whatever you want. But we're going to continue to do what we're doing. I think we've established that at least we have a model that brings people in. You may not like that I'm the person doing it. You may not believe anything I say. You may think I'm an idiot, right? I don't know. Good for you. But at the same time, my answer to everybody out there that thinks that they can do better than the stable is, why aren't you? Right? You might win more races. You might, you know, tell everybody how you make a fortune in horse racing. Good for you. But if you really think that I'm doing a bad job, where are all the other fractional ownership sites doing better? I'm waiting for them, and I haven't seen any of them. I've seen a lot of the little ones pop up, you know, but they don't have 800 clients. They don't have 130 horses. And for the people out there, I know Ron Gerfine, I know a lot of people are probably even writing rebuttals to Ron Gerfine. Here's my problem, Ron Gerfine. Two things. Obviously, he's smart enough to understand that you have to be controversial to make an impact in this, in any sort of media in this day and age. That is why print media is dying. That is why CNN and Fox and all those other people, they don't report the news anymore. They pander their opinions, and it has to be controversial, so it sparks people to watch. It sparks people to answer, to write in, or email, or post on social media. It makes them, I guess it makes them worthwhile to watch, right? The people on the left love CNN. The people on the right love Fox News, but neither agency tells the news. They tell their political spin on it, and Ron Gerfine's the same way. Obviously, last year he reported that Nick Surek wasn't a bad guy and he works hard, but that's not. I don't really believe Ron Gerfine believes all that stuff. I think that he just puts stuff out there so that people will write back in, and they did. And I know he got attacked today, and Friday morning he had written something about the stable, and I read it. I was going to reply right away and say something. I said, it's not the end of the world. Ron Gerfine virtually said, we're doing a great job. I think Anthony McDonald needs help picking his horses out, so clearly I don't know what I'm doing. Secondly, I think his stable needs to be smaller. And he didn't say it, but I would suspect the implication, the sentence right after that was not written, was he needs to spend more money on horses. And that's, I could be wrong, but that is where I took it. And the reason that the stable does operate at the capacity it does isn't because we buy cheap horses. It's because we have price points that people can budget for, right? I can't buy a horse for $150,000. Now, having said that, we bid $130,000 on a horse this year and last year and didn't get either of them. And we had groups put together to buy them. But we have to be able to bring people in at a financially reasonable level. I can't tell people that your introductory rate to buy into a horse is $1,500 or $2,000. How can Joe from the beer store, or the guy that works across the street and drives an ambulance, or the teacher that works over there, or even the guy that works at the movie theater? We need to be able to get everybody involved. So let me, rather than write a letter, send it into HRU, and the same people read it, I'm going to tell our clients the scoop. Here's the scoop. You need licensing to be able to track the amount of people in an industry, much like they take attendance at a football game or basketball game or a hockey game. They don't say attendance was high. It had to be over 30,000 people here. No. They tell you the attendance was 36,428. Whether they're exactly right or not, that's the number. The reason they do that is so they can track everything. And our industry has to understand that we need to know the people that are in it. Every single one of them. Not the people that own more than 5%. Everyone. So, at the end of the day, I'm sorry, Mr. Gerfine, you're wrong. As I said, you were wrong the week before and you didn't understand why. You can't abolish memberships unless you're going to think of another clever way to track everyone in the industry. Much like they track the handle or everything else, you have to be able to track these numbers because we are subsidized in one form or another by every government now in North America, for the most part. So at some point, a little guy with wire rim glasses or a lady is going to come in and say, need to see the numbers of the industry, where are you sitting? You need to show growth, because that subsidy is actually an investment, right? They invest in the industry. Now, they never get their money out on the front end. We never wager enough. It's always going to be negative in that end, for now anyway. But the back end of that is how many people rely on this industry, how much tax money is generated by those people, and furthermore, if they're working in horse racing, that means they're not unemployed, they're not on welfare, so they are not a strain on the system, so to speak. You have to be able to track these numbers, and the only way to do that is licensing. So I hope I'm clear enough about it now. It happened in Ontario. You need to have accurate, hard numbers of licensing. You and I both know there isn't an entity in this universe that pays more for licensing than we do. No one. I paid $30,000 last year in licensing stables. All of you got licensed in Ontario. Many of you, New York, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania. No one pays more in licensing than stable.ca. But we have to. Because someday we are going to be accountable for those numbers, and they need to be accurate. That is the entire story. Write it, don't write it, do as you wish. That's the truth. So that's the licensing. As far as the stable is concerned, Mr. Gerfine falls into the exact same trap as everyone else. Buy faster horses, cut them up into bigger fractions. Well, I think it's really neat the way there's a thoroughbred site. I think it's Own a Horse or ownahorse.com. Don't quote me on it. I know what it is. I have it written down. But they have micro shares. It's a fantastic idea. It's even better than our idea for the most part. I think. I don't know how the whole thing runs, but that portion of the concept, absolutely ingenious. So you could buy better horses, right? But I simply don't think that, I'm sorry, the horse that cost $1 million and $1.1 million this year, how are you ever going to get your money back on those horses? Ever. You have to syndicate them. You have to hope they go to stud. And then after a few years, if they're good studs, you might get your money out. It's not for me. It's not what I want to do, right? I want to be able to bring people in and show them a racehorse. Like, perfect example. Hometown Boys was a winner last night. Made $3,200. Take out the driver, the trainer. It's what? Let's say it's $3,000, right? Horse made $3,000 last night. He'll win that class again next week, so he's going to make $6,000. If he can win the non-winners of 2, he can make 25 something thousand. Hometown Boys, right now, his break even would be somewhere around $80,000-$85,000 minimum. So let's say it's $85,000. Now it's 82. So the problem is that it's going to take a long time to get Hometown Boys out of the hole. $60,000 colt. We bought him privately. Brother to Cruising in Style. All the reason to buy him. And is a good-looking colt. Stands correct. Trots nice. He was lazy at 2. We castrated him late. He's much better now, and he could be a nice horse. But the bill on Hometown Boys is right around $85,000. So you look at a horse like, let's take a horse I know the cost. All right. So we'll do both ends. Eternity Road, I believe, was 10. Don't quote me. Maybe he's 12. I don't know. It doesn't matter. So by the time we get him to the races, what? You factor in the exchange rate, the trucking, the taxes, get him home, train him, stake him. Let's say it's $30,000. It might be more, but let's say it's $30,000. There's a good chance he'll make money, right? Glare AM, same thing, probably make money. Holy Chick, probably make money. I'm a Lovely Lady, probably don't cash check, probably don't pay bills. But the fact that we go through the trouble of purchasing horses for 2 reasons. 1, a budget level, and 2, under what their suspected price should be. So Mr. Gerfine might say that I'm ill-matched, ill-equipped to make those assumptions. That's fine. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. But at the end of the day, I remember I watch Moneyball all the time. It's just every time it comes on, you watch certain clips of Win a Movie. That's the kind of guy I am. So I'm fast forwarding. I get through to the point where Brad Pitt is talking to Grady, right, in the hall. And he said, Grady, I've been in that room with you when you say when it comes to your son, or when it comes to baseball, I know. And when it comes to your son, I know. And he said, Brad Pitt looks at him and he says, but you don't. None of us do. Sure, you can pick the best horse with the best conformation, use Norman Hall's breeding site, right? Have a guy like Ron Gerfine go over the horse if he paints himself as an expert. He's been a trainer for 60 years, won Hambletonians, won everything. So let's assume he's an expert, which I think it's fair to say. It doesn't matter, because you don't know. You don't know what Maverick is going to do next year, right? Think back to Tactical Landing, Mission Brief's brother. Sure, he ended up being a good 3-year-old, and he got some of his money, but he didn't break even. This is a horse that was 800 American as a 2-year-old, so a yearling. They staked him to everything. They trained him down. They paid everything for him. He was a complete bust at 2. They moved him to Jimmy Takter. Now they're in the hole in an astronomical amount, and he ended up making some money. He didn't make his money back. And he may or may not be a stud. I don't know if he's still a stud or not. I think he went to stud somewhere. He did. He went to stud somewhere. So they're going to take a loss on the horse. Swandre the Giant. Just for your references, I purchased Swandre the Giant for the stable.ca for $17,000. 4 people ended up buying the horse out of Indiana. We trained him down till June, so I guess we're not complete idiots. We trained the horse down till June with Lawmaker and Cruising in Style that year, right? He raced. Oh, it was the year after Cruising in Style Lawmaker. It was with White Tiger. White Tiger and Oso Pine. He raced. and they sold him for $1 million. The people that bought him will never get their money out. He's been sold 2 or 3 times. Actually, I believe he was in the care of Nick Surek before his arrest. So, you don't know, right? And that's really what it comes down to, is that I don't have the financial stability or security to buy a Maverick or to buy any of the $250,000 horses or $150,000 horses. I paint the stable for what it actually is and what this industry actually is. For better or for worse, it's a losing proposition. You are going to lose money. You might win, you might not, but I would like to think that the people of the stable.ca budget, and that those funds are discretionary funds, and that people's children's education, RRSPs, retirements are not on the line, because they shouldn't be. This is us having fun. My money's on the line too. Every nickel that I scraped together in the last 5 years is paid into this. You guys know this. You hear me at the start of the month saying, send your staking in right away? You think that's because I don't want to dip into my investments in the stock market? I don't want to have to move money out of my RRSPs? No, it's because it's tight. I believe in what I've done. This industry is everything, has been everything to me, and I put everything back into it I can. Now, eventually, I would like to take some money out at some point, but it isn't yet. So for Mr. Gerfine, the reason this model works is because we allow people in at all budgets. The reason our retention rate is so high from our clients is because, for the most part, they are having fun. The same as I'm having fun. We're going to have our Swandre the Giants. We're going to have our White Tigers, our Lawmakers. But you know what? We're going to have our bad horses too. That's the way a stable works. It's the way horse racing works. And I can guarantee you it's the way the stable.ca works. So, rather than spend 2 days writing a retort to Ron Gerfine on HRU, I'm simply going to tell it to our clients because, quite frankly, they're the only ones that really matter to me. And that's the truth. So, that's it for an opening for this week. March the 15th, 2018. Hares Proof. Pennsylvania Sires, if you guys are wondering. Anthony, I don't see my horse on... I screwed up. You know, here's the thing. Do we talk about tracking, right? Tracking things. Wendy calls me. She goes, Anthony, why are some horses on the staking booklet from Joanne's and some aren't? It's my fault. I thought I'd save everybody a few dollars. Why spend $250 or $230 or whatever the hell it is dollars staking a horse to only the OSS when we're only staking the OSS or the Pennsylvania Sires? I'll just do it myself. Except now Wendy has to do more work. So I need to learn a lesson from myself. So, Pennsylvania Sires is going out right now, March 15th, 2020. The staking for Ontario was done yesterday. Everything is completed right now. So, hope you guys had a great week. It has been a crazy week, both in the world and in our industry. And I think next week will be much of the same. I will talk to you guys soon. Stay healthy, stay happy. Have a great week.